Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Let's really get started. So today we are going to talk about Fibonacci, right? Fibonacci. So what is Fibonacci? Why do you need Fibonacci, right? So that's what we are going to talk about this evening. So I'm going to mute everybody so that we're not going to be having noise during the classes. So let's get started. So what is Fibonacci? Normally, mathematically, Fibonacci is a famous mathematics formula. So it's a famous mathematical formula that we use the sequential move of numbers, to sum of numbers to get the sequences. So it's just like something like 0, 1, 1, 2, just like this table. So like this table, 1 plus 1, 2. Then what's the number before 1? 1 plus 2 equals 3. 2 plus 3 equals 5. 3 plus 5 equals 8. 5 plus 8 equals 13. 13 plus, you understand? So that is what Fibonacci sequence is. So who is the founder of Fibonacci? Who was Fibonacci? Fibonacci was an European mathematician in the 11th century to the 12th century, right? His real name is Leonardo of Pisa, right? So he has written a lot of books. He's also the founder of abacus. Abacus is just the mathematical way of arithmetic and all that in those days, right? So now let's continue. The Fibonacci sequence is named after him, right? So the number starts with 1, then 0, then it's continued by summing it up, just like what I explained earlier. So how do we need Fibonacci in trading? As traders, we are actually interested in the numbers in the series. We are not actually interested in numbers in the series. So what is more important is the ratio between these numbers, right? The ratios between these numbers is most important. So there are called Fibonacci ratios, and you can use them as well, support and resistance levels. So meaning that all these levels are very important levels that you need to see and you need to take note of. So the most popular of these ratios are 23.6, 13.2, and 61.8. Okay, so we have 23.6, we have 38.2. Also, we have 61.8. So these are other ratios that can be summed up and know how far to go. So in addition to this, there are two levels in Fibonacci. We have 50 and we have 100%. So the 50% includes they are included in the Fibonacci ratios from the beginning of the series, right? So the meaning is just that, most importantly, the ratios or the gap between these Fibonacci are very important. So the gaps are 23.6, 38.2, and 61.8. So these are three important Fibonacci ratios that we have. But we have to add 50% and 100%. 50% in the sense that, to gauge equilibrium. To get equilibrium and have a fair price. Then 100% to know if the market is going to reverse or change direction. So that is that for Fibonacci levels. Now, Fibonacci retracement, most traders use Fibonacci retracement for qualifying trade entries. If the retracement has only come down to 23.6 or less, there's likely to be a further retracement. Yes, so meaning that once price gets to 23.6, there's still going to be a further retracement. So there might still be, price still needs to pull up above the 23.6 level or below the 23.6 level. Okay, so a very deep retracement like 61.8 is also a sign that price is not likely to continue in that direction. So if you are wanting to enter a trade on the retracement level, there's a sweet spot. There's going to be a sweet spot. There's something called a sweet spot zone, which is between 38.2 and 61.8 levels. So you are going to understand that, very soon. Now, if we talk about Fibonacci in a trend, how do we plot Fibonacci levels? On Wednesday, we are going to do the practical aspect. You pick out the low and the high. That's the first thing you need to pinpoint in the Fibonacci levels, okay? The low and the what are the high. That's the first thing. The low and the high. So once you pick the low and the high, if it's an uptrend, you drag the Fibonacci 2 from the low to the high. So meaning that you drag it from the support to the next what? To the next resistance. So that is how to draw a Fibonacci 2. So sometimes you can click on the Fibonacci 2 and you will see A, B, and C. So your A in an uptrend, your A is the origin, your B is the resistance, your C is where the Fibonacci level might end. Okay, so we have A, B, then what? Your C. Okay, so that is that for Fibonacci. We have A, we have B, then we have what? C. So that is that for Fibonacci levels. So you understand? So we just have to be like A of the beginning of the trend to the first retracement, calculate the starting point, then move the mouse to the current high, which is B, and click at the current high to finalize the two coordinates. So it's just telling you that you look at the low, the current high, to know where the C will be. So the C is the place that the Fibonacci ended. Okay? The C is the point or the place that the Fibonacci what? The Fibonacci 2 ended. So that is where we are going to look at the C. Also on a downtrend, you can see it start from the swing high down to the what? Swing low. Automatically, anywhere the price get to and reject, then we can say it is what? It is C. And don't forget that Fibonacci levels also serve as support and what? Resistance level. So if you pick at the high, it is resistance down to the support, you see the C coming up for itself, right? So that is how to mark the Fibonacci what? Fibonacci retracement tool. So let's say important, you can see from here, I retrace down to 38.2 and price continue moving to the upside. Same thing, retrace down to 50%, price continue move to the upside. Same thing also, you can see this retracement is of 61.8 before it continue moving to the what? To the upside. And if you look at the down also, downtrend, you can see from high to low, the retracement and price continue moving to the downside as well. Same thing as here, the high and the low, the retracement and price continue moving to the what? To the downside. Also the same thing. So I'm going to look at the chart, just teach us. Let me share my screen. So I'm going to share the screen just to put us through on how to understand these Fibonacci levels and how we can also trade Fibonacci levels. So here is my chart. So here is my chart. So I'm going to pinpoint this level. I'm going to mark this level as my low and this level as my what? As my high, right? So this is my low. This is my what? This is my high for Fibonacci, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to drag market from this low to high. So from here, I drag it to the top. Can you see? So this is the A, this is the what? B, and I'm expecting price to retrace down. Also the same thing here. You can see the same thing here. This is the high, this is the low, this is the high, because we are in an uptrend. They were expecting market to work a deep retracement before we can buy, right? So we're expecting a deep retracement before we can what? Price can continue moving to the upside. So that's how to draw a Fibonacci level. So let's go to for the downtrend. So for the downtrend, we have this. For the downtrend, we have this is the high, this is the low, right? So what are we expecting? We're expecting a retracement to the top. So we're expecting a what? A retracement to the what? To the top, to probably this level. So we have this as what? The A, because it's the high. We have this as what? The B. What are we expecting the Fibonacci retracement level to be the what? The C, right? So let me, I edited this Fibonacci. Let me 23.6. Okay, 23.6. Then we have 38.2. 38.2. Okay, just a minute. I want to edit it. Sorry, I have to do it like this. 0.236. Yeah, but they are in percentiles 382. So you can see now the levels are complete here. So the C will either be around here, right? So the C will either be around here. So we have the A, the B, and the what? And the C for the what? Fibonacci levels. Then the market now continues moving to the what? Moving to the downside. Then the market continues moving to the what? Moving to the downside. So that is what we have been talking about. We can use it to plot any levels you can see from this high and this low. And you can see as market rejected at 50%, we are continuing moving to the what? To the downside. So let me continue with the theoretical aspect. By Wednesday, we are going to learn how to plot Fibonacci, how to use it in a trade, what to do, and how to understand it better, right? So let's go. So how do we trade Fibonacci retracement? Number one, you can trade it with a trend line. So if you understand how to use a trend line, then you don't have any issues with Fibonacci. Okay, if you understand how to use a trend line, then you don't have any issues with what Fibonacci. So you can also spot Fibonacci. So let's say, for example, this is a 1 hour chart. You draw your trend line, you pick your lows and your highs, right? So once you pick your lows and your highs, you draw your Fibonacci tools. Anywhere that you notice that the market is rejecting towards, that is where you can use it for. So this, you might not have a good understanding about this. Maybe on Wednesday, when we are doing the practical aspect, you are going to understand what I meant by that. So you can use it with trend line. You can use it also to know when to enter a trade and when to what, when to exit. So how to use Fibonacci extension tools to know when to take profit. So what you do, so what to do is in the next phase of using Fibonacci, you'll be using it to find the take profit. So all this we are going to learn it on Thursday. So I mean on Wednesday class, right? So we can use Fibonacci tool. We can use Fibonacci tool to know when to take profit. Okay, so you can use Fibonacci to know when to take profit. You can also determine the extension levels by using 3 mouse clicks. Okay, by using 3 mouse clicks. First, click on significant low, then drag your cursor and click on the most recent swing high. Finally, drag your cursor back down and click on any retracement level. This will display each of the extension levels, showing both the ratio and the corresponding levels. So the next level, what it's saying is that once you spot your Fibonacci 2 from the low and the high, this is your major low. Once you pick trade at probably 50%, the next take profit should be what? You can take your take profit at 23%. So the gap differences, you can use it as your take profit level. Okay, so you can use that 23% on the gap. The next gap differences, you can use that as a what? Take profit levels, right? Then also, you can see from here too. Let's take a look at the downtrend on 1 hour Euro USD. This is an example. We have a high. We also have a low, right? So what happens when we plot the highs, which is the resistance, we take it down to this support, this gap, you can pick your trade at any of the resistance levels between 38.2 and 61.8, right? So between 38.2 and 61.8. So let's say you sell at 61.8, you can take your profit at 50%. You can take your profit at 38.2%. You can take your profit at 23.6%. So these are the percentages where you can likely take your profit while using Fibonacci levels. Okay, so let's look at more. This is also another examples. When you plot Fibonacci retracement, you pick your entry at this level, you take TP at 3.82 or 50% of this. So these are areas where you can also take your Fibonacci level. So it's just simple how to place Fibonacci for your stop loss level also. You can see that once you place a trade at a resistance, probably a trade trigger at 38.2, your stop loss should be what? 50%. That is the next ratio between the 38.2. You will see that your SL will be even. Your SL level will be what? Will be even. Number of pips between them will be very, very even. Right? So that is how to use Fibonacci levels. Like, for example, you pick your sell here. This is an example. You pick your sell at this level. Your stop loss is what? 61.8. So anything above 61.8 is your stop loss. You can see the distance between here and here is equal to the distance between here, is equal to the distance between here, right? So you can use this as 1:2 if you want to. And the truth is, you get high probability setup. You get high probability setup when you do that. Okay? You get high probability setup when you do that. Okay, so these are examples of how to use your Fibonacci levels, right? So I've explained recently and all that. So on Wednesday by 4 p.m. also, we are going to do the practical aspect of how to use the Fibonacci retracement before we move down to Fibonacci extension 2. So I think that's the end of the class. Does anybody have any question? Any question, please? Hello? Any question? Please send your questions or type it. Okay, in case there are no questions, thank you very much. See you on Wednesday when we do the practical aspect of it. So you can practice Fibonacci too on your PC or your mobile phone. We do the practical on Wednesday. Thank you very much and have a wonderful time. Good afternoon.